Even in winter, cold water should be enough for you. It's a waste to use the water heater, so I'm turning it off." My husband's merciless voice echoed in the bathroom. Right after that, despite it being the middle of winter, the shower water turned cold. I instantly got goosebumps from the cold and started to shiver. Additionally, I was almost at full term in my pregnancy. In a panic, I tried to leave the bathroom, but the door wouldn't open. It seemed George had blocked it from the outside with a stick or something. "Please, open the door. I'm freezing." I banged on the door, but George didn't open it and just laughed, saying, "I'm leaving for drinks." Then, I heard the sound of the front door opening and George leaving. Mandy thought, "This is dangerous for the baby inside me." I could hear the barking of our dog Emily in the distance. I knew I would never forget this day for as long as I lived. I am Mandy, a 28-year-old housewife, 9 months pregnant, and soon to reach full term. I met George, my husband who is 8 years older than me, at work. I used to admire him at the office for being able to work well and lead everyone with his assertive comments. Back then, he seemed like a dependable and masculine man to me. George's parents were already gone, and we lived in an apartment near my parents' house. Even after getting married, we continued to both work for a while. But after marriage, I started to see unexpected sides of him. "Hey, let's cook together." Huh? Men shouldn't be in the kitchen. Maybe that was the case in the past, but now many men cook. I don't want to. Housework is a wife's job. I was shocked when he said that, but I naively thought his views would gradually change. However, he soon started to be very particular about the meals. "I get hungry quickly if I eat bread in the morning. So make sure to prepare bacon, eggs, and side dishes. But I'm also busy preparing for work. You're the wife, you should be able to do that." He became extremely moody after he said that. I was gradually getting frustrated with my husband, who did not help with housework at all and was very domineering. But to be honest, I liked doing household chores and was good at it. So I could manage without George's help. It seemed more troublesome to have my incompetent and stubborn husband help me. And I wasn't confident about convincing him otherwise. What soothed my heart was Emily, the mixed-breed dog I brought from my parents' home. When I was feeling down, Emily would look at me worriedly and snuggle up to me. Emily was a smart and friendly dog that I found abandoned in a cardboard box at my parents' house in France 8 years ago. She was my treasure. George was initially reluctant to keep Emily, but he agreed when I said, "She can be a guard dog and daily walks will be good for your health." He was domineering, but I felt he had a kind side if I didn't upset him. We also had enjoyable times, like going on drives together on holidays. So I thought our marriage was good. However, things changed after I got pregnant. "It looks like I'm pregnant." "Really?" "I'm happy. I can play catch with my son." "You're getting ahead of yourself. We don't even know the gender yet." "No, I'm sure it's a boy." "I feel it. But that means you'll have to quit your job." "What?" "I plan to take maternity and parental leave, but I intend to continue working." His face clouded over immediately, and he stared at me. "It'll be hard for you to handle work, childcare, and household chores, right? Just so you know, I want to relax when I come back from work, so I won't help you." I thought childcare should be a joint effort between husband and wife. I was disappointed to realize he had no intention of helping. Thinking about raising a child alone while working, I realized I wouldn't have much time to spend with my child. After much thought, I decided to follow my husband's wishes. The next month after finding out I was pregnant, I wasn't feeling well, so I resigned from my job. However, I later regretted this decision because George became increasingly domineering. "You can live because of my earnings. Don't forget that." He demanded that I see him off to the entrance every morning and say, Have a good day. And make sure his clothes were prepared after his bath and when he woke up. He also demanded at least 5 dishes for dinner every night. His requests escalated into a husband from the old times. Furthermore, his attitude became more and more tyrannical. Pork cutlets for dinner today? I wanted to eat fish. You really doesn't pay attention. But I wouldn't know unless you tell me in advance. Forget it. I won't eat dinner. I'll go eat some delicious fish at a restaurant. Saying that, he threw away the dinner I made, including my portion, into the trash. I was increasingly troubled by my husband's whims every day. One day, my morning sickness was terrible, bedridden, and I was unable to do household chores. When George returned from work, he dragged me out of bed. You're really a useless wife. You're just lazing around at home, and you haven't even prepared a meal? I'm sorry. I'm not feeling well today. If you're like this already, how are you going to take care of me when the baby is born? I wish we never had this child. Abort it. What? I was dumbfounded by my husband's unbelievable words. The thought of killing the life inside me was unimaginable. When I refused to comply with George, his behavior became increasingly erratic. Not only did he start to abuse me with words, but he also deliberately bumped into my belly and even tripped me. Stop it, please. I just bumped into you by accident. It's your fault for not paying attention. Eventually, our dog Emily also began to view George as an enemy due to his cruel treatment of me and started barking fiercely at him. Get rid of this useless dog, he said, spitting at Emily and kicking her. I felt my love for him cooling gradually. Still, I faintly hoped that maybe he would change after the birth of our child. Amid these days, my due date was getting closer. One day, when I began to shower in the bathroom, that decisive event happened. Even in winter, cold water should be enough for you. It's a waste to use the water heater, so I'm turning it off. His merciless voice echoed in the bathroom. And suddenly, he turned off the gas to the water heater, changing the shower water to cold. What? No, stop. Shivering from the cold while naked in the winter, I regretted not filling the bathtub with hot water, thinking a quick shower would suffice, but it was too late. Mandy thought, this is dangerous for the baby. In a panic, I tried to leave the bathroom, but the sliding door wouldn't open as George seemed to have blocked it. Please, I'm freezing. Open the door. I'm leaving for drinks. How could you? Are you going to leave me locked in here? There was no response, but I heard a loud barking and whining of a dog, followed by the sound of the front door opening and George leaving. I wondered if Emily had been kicked by George but couldn't do anything. I tried to force the door open, but it wouldn't budge. The window in the bathroom was too small for a pregnant woman like me. And as I tried to force the door off its hinges, I felt something warm flowing down my legs. Mandy thought, oh no, my water broke. The baby is in danger. I screamed for help out of the window, but nobody heard me. Just when I was about to give up, I heard Emily barking, followed by the sound of gnawing. The door started shaking. Emily, open it, please. It seemed hopeless, but I had no choice but to rely on Emily. After a while, the door opened. Emily had actually saved me. Thank you, Emily. But when I saw Emily, her mouth was bloody. Blood was also on the end of the stick, suggesting she had bitten it to try and free me. Emily whimpered sadly and looked unsteady, clearly hurt from trying to help me. Seeing her like that teared me up. I hugged Emily, thanking her repeatedly, then immediately called a taxi. I also called my parents for help and asked them to take care of Emily. Not long after getting in the taxi, I started having painful contractions. The journey to the hospital felt unbearably long as I worried about my baby. 5 hours later, George called me. "Where did you go off to?" He was shouting as soon as I answered. I replied calmly. "Your daughter is gone." "What?" "Our born child is dead." After a moment of silence, which I thought was out of regret, he coldly said, "It's better this way. We weren't ready for a child anyway. Now you can just take care of me." Hearing those words, I couldn't stop shaking with anger. Mandy thought, "I will never forgive you." In reality, the baby was alive. The child was born by emergency cesarean section due to complications. The baby was in an incubator and in a critical condition, but still fighting for life. Yet, why did I say gone? I had hoped he would regret his words and apologize. But he said, "It's better she's gone." At that moment, I decided to divorce him. And with that, another sad event unfolded, and I vowed revenge. The next day, George burst into my hospital room, shouting angrily. I heard from the doctor. "You lied to me, the child is alive, isn't she?" The sight of my husband screaming with spit flying from his red face was hideous. He didn't rejoice that his daughter's life was saved, but rather ranted in anger. George's reactions were far from normal. "Our daughter is in a critical condition because of you. And there's another daughter who is definitely gone." "What?" "The other daughter. That was my beloved Emily. Emily, as dear to me as my own daughter." Tried desperately to stop George from leaving while he locked me in the bathroom. Yet, he brutally kicked Emily in the stomach as she barked at him. This was recorded on a pet camera we had in the room, which my parents discovered. Despite her severe injuries, Emily managed to save me. Afterwards, my parents rushed Emily to the animal hospital, but it was too late. Stop making a fuss over a dog. He was family to me. I will never forgive you. I will divorce you. Don't be absurd. I won't accept it. Divorce would look bad for me at the company, and who would take care of me? He kept listing reasons that only suited him. Completely despicable, I deeply regretted marrying such a man. If you won't accept it, I'll just sue. The court will grant the divorce due to your terrible treatment. You have no proof of that. I'll just say you're delusional. George was smirking as if he had one. I have all the evidence I need. I plan to report it to the police. Lies. There's no way you have such evidence. When I showed him the footage from the pet camera I had saved, a panicked George turned pale and lunged at me. What are you doing? Stop. Someone help me. Although he tried to snatch my phone. A nurse who heard my cries for help rushed into the room and pushed him away. He fell to the floor, still glaring at me angrily. You're seriously going to sue me? Do you intend to make your child grow up with only one parent? A child is better off without a father who lacks any love. I then reiterated how serious his crimes were, including trying to make his heavily pregnant wife fall, locking her in a cold bathroom, and killing an animal through kicking, and that I would sue for all of it. Everything you've done so far, I've recorded it all. It's enough evidence for the police. Are you serious? The police would be troublesome. Even now, he seemed to be thinking of ways to escape the situation. I'll hire a lawyer and ensure you pay a fair amount in compensation and child support. Realizing he was in trouble, he suddenly changed his tune and started apologizing. I'm sorry. I've reflected on my actions, please forgive me. Let's raise our child together. I can't trust anything you say. You won't forgive me even after I've apologized? Have you forgotten that you're living off my earnings? There you go. That's what you truly think. You'll never change. I never want to see your face again. Any further discussions will be through my lawyer. As he continued to argue, nurses who heard the commotion took him out of the room. The hospital called the police, and he was taken away. Later, George was convicted for his violent behavior towards me in bed and animal cruelty, resulting in prison time and being fired from his company. Of course, I divorced him. I claimed $30,000 in damages and $120,000 in child support. George would struggle with these payments even after getting out of prison. My daughter survived and was discharged from the hospital after about a month. I named her Emily, after Emily who saved us with her life. I returned to my parents' home and resumed work. My daughter is growing up loved and well cared for by my parents. Every day, before I leave for work, I speak to a photo of my gone dog Emily. I'm off now. Remembering how Emily would wag her tail and come close warms me up. I look forward to my lovely daughter's growth and living positively from now on.